Let's talk now to Professor Khalifa Dikwa, who is of the Department of Linguistics, International Relations and Intelligence at the University of Maiduguri. He joins us from our Maiduguri studios. Good morning, Prof. It's nice to see you again.
Good morning, my dear. Nice to see you too.
Let me begin by giving you an opportunity to give us your quick take, just a summary at the very beginning of how this unfolded, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Do you, like quite a number of other people, believe that this could have been avoided?
Yes, it could have been avoided if those who signed the agreement in 1990, prior to the fall of Berlin Wall, this thing wouldn't have happened. It had to do with reneging of agreements, a gentleman's agreement in 1994 that few weeks prior to the collapse of the Soviet Union, of which the Russian Federation is the biggest part. So the EU promised not to move an inch, and that was with the agreement signed with even United States of America. And we dare say that unfortunately, a big country like America, it is our country, I dare say, a country of the world, where citizens from all over the world succeed there. You go there for opportunities, but our people should make a difference between a government and the people of America. The government of America is mostly driven by a tiny GOP racist warmongers who will always ignite wars in order to sell arms and so on, just to fill up their own pocket. So they renege on the movement towards the borders of Russia. At that time, they said not an inch will any West European countries will move towards the borders of the Russian Federation. In 1994, 5 of them moved and were twisted to be members of the European Union in violation of the agreement. So Russia had been making noise, had been talking diplomatically not to do it because it was getting closer to it, threatening its security and so on. The last one that broke the back of the camel was the Ukraine that we are talking about. In Ukraine, you could see how America could do certain things and then sacrifice a country to go the way, and even ask the European Union countries to also play its own game. The entire thing, the entire game is between two ideologies, capitalism and others, socialism, whatever you call it, communism. And Ukraine is just the scapegoat. What you call it in French, bouc à panurge. So
let me interrupt you at this point and ask. Let me interrupt you, Professor Dikwa. My apologies. Let me interrupt you. My apologies. Let me interrupt you and ask now that, given the background you've already given, do you think that those who are saying that Ukraine does have the right to choose who its friends are simply being naive, knowing what is on ground in terms of realpolitik within the region? Or is it true that a country that is sovereign does have a right to pick its friends?
It was naive to have taken side, to have agreed to be incorporated into the EU, even NATO, which for some countries have been trying to get into it for over 20 years. It is not automatic, and therefore it was naive for the leadership to have taken that decision to fight its immediate neighbor and so on, and it is absolutely bad for it. It has to do with the militarization of Ukraine itself. And then for America, it is about truncating the rapprochement between the European Union and Russia in that they get 41% of the gas from from Russia, without which they will freeze to death. And secondly, to create problems for rapprochement between Europe and China as one of the economic giants next to America. It had to do with rivalry, not about a real thing. And you see now the repercussions is that America and Europe can just sacrifice any other country when it has to do with a big country with veto powers at the United Nations Security Council. And they are just watching, say, we are sending this, we are sending these arms, we are taking away Russia from the SWIFT financial system and so on. In actual sense, practically, about the 41% of gas and 20% of oil, they are still receiving from Russia behind the scene. And the same America that was punishing Venezuela for whatever it is, for not accepting the Speaker of the Parliament, is asking behind the scene to try to fill the gap that will be left by Russia. And it is not easy to build all this infrastructure within a very short time. And thirdly, Europe itself is actually now praying the rhetorics, doing it with just words, not actually doing it the way America wanted it. And you can see how propaganda works. It is always about vilifying the rival, vilifying the country that they wanted to invade. That was exactly what happened to Iraq with the pretext of a weapon of mass destruction. They never happened, they never existed. They invaded Iraq, they invaded Russia, they invaded Somalia, Libya, and so on. So what you hear from the mainstream media is actually weapons of propaganda in order to do the thing. And it is, even if I were the president of America, I will fight this thing, but diplomatically, because failing this Ukraine without putting something structure, it means the East now will have a better say with EU, real allies now making business, making deals with China, Russia, India, and so on, with a currency that is no longer dollars, right? Like rubles of Russia, like rupees of India, and even themselves will like to float their own euro currency away from the dollar, which is always used as sanctions, but with American interests alone. So European Union, all these European countries are now have now come to reality, to terms with the fact that it has always been for the interest of America that has never shown interest in protecting them in their own interests, and therefore they will have to look for alternative for the dollar. Dollar, how did it happen? It happened in the 70s when the CIA took down the King Faisal, who grounded America at that time with oil embargo. So, and insisted that Saudi Arabia did its bidding or sold oil with dollars, and that's how dollar got there, and no alternative there, with harassment, international deals, and so on, harassment whether other countries liked it or not, never an alternative beyond 83 years. It has gone now beyond this, and now what is on ground is that there is no way the rest of the world will avoid China, that has already built roads, rails, and so on, linking Europe to China, to Asia, linking Europe to Africa, East Africa, just the way you cannot ignore Nigeria if you are talking about Africa. Unfortunately, Africa itself, other smaller countries had to now find their own non-alignment to stay put, non-aligned, neutral, and so on. But Nigeria hurriedly joined the follow-follow thing in order to condemn Russia over it. Russia has no history of colonization or threatening trade of blacks, and so on. So Nigeria, I still believe that next time should not be taken care, should not be taken aside, because anybody, Nigeria should have its own friends, should choose its own friends. Like Mandela said, what the Western world their own error is that they always think that their own friends must be our friends. The people they hate must be also hated by us in Africa, in Nigeria, and so on. This is the mistake that this is being done. It is about
because of our time, Professor Dikwa, I still have one question that I must ask you. Many of the things you've spoken about, many of the things you've spoken about are things that will take time to unfold. And those who agree with you will say that, yes, in time that will happen. But right now, there is carnage going on. There is destruction of lives and property. I guess the key point is, how do we stop this now? What is to be done to stop this now?
It ought not to have even started in the first place with Ukraine. If Ukraine had agreed to forget about being member of NATO, and then agreeing to demilitarize by not accepting the dumping of big weapons at the border of Russia, dumping of arms in Poland, all these things ought not to have happened. So Russia had to step up for its own security. Diplomacy will work. But the carnage that has been going on, what we call it carnage or massacre or genocide, the number of victims is not up to what it is being said there. And it has to do how we look at how the refugees are being treated in that place. Compare them to what happened in Russia, in Syria, Iraq, in Nigeria. We have more refugees, but this treatment had never occurred to us. It has to do with race and so on. And therefore, the media is all over Ukraine. I say breaking all the time. Without anything. Russia does not want to kill. It is always attacking. It's only attacking where weapons are then. And Russia has the satellite to see the weapons where they are located. Never mind the rhetorics about carnage going on and so on. It is not up to what happened in the northeast in Borno state, or even what is happening in the southeast right now, or north central in Nigeria. It had to do with a double standard. And they said if Russia or Putin could be taken to the ICJ, International Court of Justice, or International Criminal Court, is it as bad as what happened in Iraq? Nobody is talking about George Bush. Nobody is talking about Barack Obama. Nobody is talking of Tony Blair took this invaded Iraq, Syria, Libya, and so on. They have veto powers. It is a waste of time, because apart from veto powers, America doesn't believe in any international court. It has never signed to it to be dragged, to be punished like others. It had always had influence over the verdict. That was how it had the influence of taking away a part of Nigeria called the Bakassi at that time, with the assignment of agreement in Paris at that time, without the consent of the Senate, without a referendum conducted for the people to choose where they wanted to belong. And therefore, politicization of verdict has always been possible with the arm twisting of the big countries there. Therefore, diplomacy for Ukraine is the best alternative, and that all what happened in Ukraine is an eye-opener for the world now. The world, the new world order is real. It has changed movement, and that now people will understand, social media and so on will understand that the figures given in the name of United Nations, the US and so on, they are not real if you go about checking the thing. Imagine a country now of a few million, now by saying over 10 million were now out of Ukraine. How did they get the additional millions and so on? Just to show you that the numbers don't add up at all. And
is at that point that we're going to have to leave it, Prof. Prof, I want to thank you.
Yes, my dear.
Thank you so much for your views. Obviously, these are very unique positions that you have taken. Quite a lot of people didn't have this information, and we're happy that you are able to disseminate them here on Channels Television. Professor Khalifa Dikwa is of the Department of Linguistics, International Relations and Intelligence at the University of Maiduguri. We'll take a break on the program. We'll be right back with more after this.